Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Trip Smoke Pit. Tonight we got on the legendary Lindsay, and we're going to pretend like we didn't just talk for 5 minutes before this and be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? So how you doing?
Well, now that we definitely didn't talk for 5 minutes before this, actually spending 10 minutes trying to figure out technical difficulties, I'm really glad we made it through that, because I was like, wow, I feel very uneducated in the technological realm. So,
I mean, technology changes every 6 months anyway. So, I mean,
I literally just got this, it's okay, camera. Literally just got the Garmin Phoenix 6, and they put out a thing on Instagram, and people are like, oh, is that the 7? And so apparently that's on its way out. And I'm like, fuck, these things are expensive. Like, I just got this. Can we just not?
What's special about it, though, that they have to change it every year?
So I know. So what I had last, I had the 5. I bought the 5. That was my like post-deployment present. I know that's probably a weird flex, because most people are like, man, you know what? I want to get that Mustang at 20% interest. But for me, I was like, I really want a smartwatch.
That's right.
So I got the 5X, and one of my friends that I met through just being out, like going to the gym or hiking or some shit, some random person was a firefighter, and he's like, yeah, I have this watch. I got it from my bike shop, and it's a random site on the internet, and it was like $300. So I was like, all right, dope, because it was like an $800 watch at the time. So I got it on sale. I got a super good deal on it, and it had the GPS mapping. I had elevation gain, a lot of the just basic hiking shit.
Yeah.
But the 6, so I have the 6X Pro Solar. This one, it's the same size, so there's different watch faces on it. But I got one that's, I mean, this is a pretty large watch for a female, right? So. But I need it so I can see the mapping. So when you go on, like if you're out hiking, you can go on the GPS and it shows like hiking trails and stuff.
Really?
You can see all of the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Northwest, all of the random, like if you're in the Adirondacks, any of the national parks, you can see all of the main trails. And so this is just a nice thing to have like at your disposal. So you're not pulling a map out of your pack every 10 seconds, trying to look at it. You can see that you're still, because it's all labeled. It shows the elevation gain. You can zoom in and out to your liking for whatever, like how close you want to be. I keep mine at 800 feet. So it's weird because it'll go from like mileage, like 0.3 miles or whatever, or it'll go like 300 feet, 800 feet. But, you can go the distance that you want for that to be able to see how close you are. And it'll also tell you when you're done, like if you do a hike and you record it, what your elevation gain was, what your mileage was, heart rate, all kinds of different data. I can send you a screenshot of what it looks like after I do a hike. But the new one, the Pro Solar that I have is solar powered. So you can recharge some of that from just having that exposed like to the sun while you're hiking.
Okay, so it is an actual upgrade instead of just like the iPhone.
Yeah.
It's like it's bigger now.
Yeah, so it has the solar, it has a rock climbing function and a swimming and dive function. So there are a couple of activity functions that matters for. One of my friends was actually selling his non-solar to get a Pro Solar, and one of my friends was like, well, I want to get one of the solars, and I was like, you don't backpack. Like, you will have time to plug this in and recharge it. That the solar power really only matters if you're going on like a charted hike. Like if you were going to go do the John Muir Trail or the Long Path, even like the Appalachian Trail, you would want something that you can continuously log your mileage and track, because there's a track me function on it too. So people who you give access to can see where you are.
That's a good thing. Like we were
right, like a survival thing, you know. So it's safety. So for that, you want to have that extra boost, so you don't have to you don't have to stop and charge it as much. But I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where people will go out and they'll spend stupid amounts of money, like convinced that they have to have this brand new smartwatch, this brand new DSLR. Like I'm I'm a little, you'll see some through some of my comments, I'm a little kind of anti-corporate America. Like there's a necessary, it's a necessary evil, and I don't want to get down that rabbit hole, but I try not to give them more of my money than I have to. So
Right.
I usually try to buy like an older model, like, you know, Merrill, Innovate, all of these brands that I love. I usually wait until they come out with like the new colorway, and then I buy the one that's on clearance
Well, yeah,
because
no,
it's
'cause
the
they
same
build stuff
shit.
like they'll build shit that will intentionally not last forever, and then they'll hype up like the new model, so
Yeah.
everybody buys a new one each year. So it's shitty on that
Yeah.
end. You have that like I forget what the word is, but the artificial like time limit on the stuff. But on the other hand, most of it does work for a little bit longer than that. So if you get it secondhand, it's like, well, this does everything that does, except for like it doesn't, you know, tell me what time zone I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep. Yeah.
so joke's on you.
So for this, like for a Phoenix gives you a lot of really good data, but if you're not hiking multiple days, I mean, I had the Pro Solar when I did my backpacking trip um down in the Blue Ridge when I was out doing the South Beyond 6K challenge.
Yeah.
And for 2 days, you know, for 2 straight days, I had it running on GPS mode. I paused the GPS running mode when I slept, but then started it again the next day. And I had probably 20 hours worth of hiking, and the thing didn't die. So if you're going to be a, you know, a day hiker, a section hiker, you don't need to go and spend the extra couple $100 to have it be a solar powered, because it's not like you're going to lay it out in the sun and it's going to completely recharge. It's something that helps like keep it going. But I mean, I haven't gotten to the point that I was like, oh, I'm going to lay it out in the sun and see how long it takes. I'll just plug it in when I get home. I keep my charger in the car.
Have done, yeah.
And the thing charges to 100%, which is 14 days for mine, because I don't have all of the extra, like you can get your text message notifications and shit. And I'm like, I go to the woods to get away from that. So I don't want to see that people call and text me. So I have like all the notifications off. It literally just tells me what time it is. I can pan through pressure, when sunrise, sunset, you know, the temperature throughout the day, all the basic things that I would need. And I can get 14 days on it. And then I can get 3 days of solid like GPS tracking. And then we all have battery packs, right? Like I think that's the thing we all have.
Maybe I don't hike. I go walk around in the woods, but like I'm only ever out for like an hour or two. So
right. So you could take it home and plug it in. And I keep mine, pro tip for anybody who does have one of these. My friends make fun of me because some people don't wear these all the time because they have to have their like Apple Watch so they can text and call their friends from their wrist. Weird, but whatever. If they have that and they're just using this for whatever, I keep mine on all the time. I eat, sleep, and breathe with this thing on because it does do a sleep thing and a body battery thing, which is super cool because mine tells me I'm pretty much not effective at any of that. But it's still fun. Like my body battery got down to like 2 once, and I got like a very poor rating for like 10 days in a row for my sleep. And I was like, oh, should we go 11? But I keep it on for, you know, all of the respiratory shit and all that. So I take it off. I call it recess. And when it gets down to like less than 2 days, it takes about an hour and a half to charge. And so if I'm going on a trip, like driving to the mountains, I just plug it in and I've got a full charge. So it's not something, it's not unmanageable. Like you don't need to, if you're not going out for that long, like you can definitely just stick to the $500 or $600 model that's currently out. Just get that and just run with it, and just make sure that you're not dumb about like not charging it. And I am somebody who is notorious for letting my shit go down to like the last percent. Like I could literally be sitting. So I'll hike a 50-mile day. We'll get to that. But I will literally be a foot from being able to plug in my phone charger to charge my phone, and it'll die before I'm like, I have to like get up and go plug it in. So it's very interesting. I have a very, very weird dynamic of, you know, where my priorities lie is pretty serious. Yeah. There's a fine line. I don't know if you know how hard it is to plug in your phone into the wall.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I'll do the thing where it's like I'm sitting on the couch, but the charger is on the other side of the room. And it's like, I'm just going to let this thing die before I get up, and I'm going to be mad about it. and then forget what the fuck I was doing and then bounce off. But anyway, yeah, no. So you were saying like, how not how much, but when you're out hiking, how often or how long are you usually out for?
So I just love being outside. Like you know, people get like hangry or cranky if they don't sleep, which I also do. Usually when I'm tired, I really, instead of getting like bitchy or angry, I really just cry a lot. It's weird. But I get where my tick is like being stuck inside. So usually when I go hiking, I try to go if it's less than 5 miles, I just don't really like think of it as a solid day. I will do those days. I will do shorter hikes if it's something really cool, but I'll often find myself kind of like bouncing around to another trailhead or spending a little bit more time kind of like getting into the weeds of things, doing some bushwhacking, climbing on some rocks and shit. Like I try to get out for at least a couple hours. Like I don't really want to just go out for an hour and turn around. I do know that for most people, for like a mental health perspective or an exercise perspective, 20 to 30 minutes is probably enough. If you're going to go on a 5K, 10K run, or 3.1 or 6.2 miles for the American folk, but like if you're just going out to just get it in, that's fine. But for me, I really just kind of like to really get into it and find somewhere where I can just go up, and I want to get to the top of the mountain, really get a good view, and just see something different and kind of just go where the trail leads me. So I usually spend I would say 3 hours is kind of like my short days. I will do 17, 18, 20 mile days where I end up spending 10 hours out there, stopping for lunch, bringing out the old jet boil, or really the MRE is what we were all waiting for.
Really? So you're telling me you don't carry like a miniature stove in your pack and just like bring out the butane and fire it up?
I wish I could. I see a lot of the social media influencers doing that, and that's really fun. And I look at that and I'm like, you didn't go very far. You're probably like pulled up somewhere and you just got a really good angle. Most of the time you can. I've posted on my posts on social media about the times where I've had one of like the Weber grills or something, and I've been literally right next to my Subaru because the winds are like super high, and we tried the camping thing. Winds were terrible, and then I said fuck this shit, and I just crawled in the back of my Forester, and now like I'm making bacon and eggs with a cast iron skillet and some bacon on the grill, and I'm like have my car door open or something blocking, and I'm like literally right in the parking lot trying to do the shit because I'm like, I did my best, but it's not always perfect. It's not always glamorous. So I've done that. But normally if I'm like going in the woods, I have the jet boil. I like the Peak meals or the Mountain House meals, but they're so expensive. So if you've got to like add insult to injury when you can just go buy a fucking MRE at the PX that has more calories and you have options, right? Because there's usually like some snacks and shit in there and some toilet paper to wipe your ass. So that's great, right? Like you spent $10 on a Mountain House meal or a Peak meal or whatever you're getting. And they're really good most of the time. Mountain House did just come out with like a buffalo mac and cheese. So I don't know how that fits with, we're going to have to probably hook up like a taste test and compare the chili mac MRE to that, because that sounds pretty fucking good.
That'd be a fun thing to do though. Like fucking like have
right?
it be like a little fundraiser thing, or just like, hey, look, I'm on Instagram Live. We're gonna do this right now. And oh no, I'm sorry. Let's eat this.
Yeah, screw this. This is really good, right? So yeah, so like, it's one of those things where it's like, how much do you want to sacrifice, especially if it's like, I don't know, 15 degrees out? Do you really want to sit there and pull out your like butane, you're like, oh, your lighter, and set up your jet boil and pour some water in it, which is probably frozen if you're me, because I always forget to stick the little nozzle thing into like, in my shirt to keep it warm. Yeah. And so your water's frozen anyways. So at least you can kind of like get a little bit out of the pack and spit that into the little warmer thing and set up your MRE, and you could put that shit back into that little cardboard box thing and put that in your pack and then keep walking. And then in 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it takes, it's usually when it's that cold, it takes a little bit longer than, for it to heat up. But if you get that going while you're walking, then you can pull that bitch out and you can take your little fork and you can go and you can eat while you're walking. So you don't have to like sit down. Cause sometimes when it's cold. Like you don't want to have a picnic when you're sitting in, feet of snow. So
like,
having that already,
you had like your food like in your friggin' underwear just because like the hottest place to get it. You have to pull it out from your armpit and it's still icy and you're like, this is not helping. Like I did this cold weather training this one time and they gave us these canteens that the lid was about the size of like a mason jar, and so when it froze you could like stab it and like get the ice bits out, and it's like,
oh, that's smart. Yeah,
wonderful technology. Like I think this was 2007 or 8, so I was like, it's 2007, we don't have anything better to do than this. Well, I guess we'll know what happens if the Koreans come. Yay.
It's not a bad idea as far as at least being able to break through the ice. It's better than some of the things they have now, but you would think by now we would have come up with something. Instead, they have these 10,000-pound vacuum sealed, Yetis that cost $1 billion, and they don't want to give those to us for free. So, you
think they would the Camelback hose, but like make it a longer one where you like wrap it around your stuff so that like your body heat keeps,
Yeah, because otherwise you've got to like put it in your shirt and it's just long enough that like you have to pull it out every time and then you've got to stick it back. And if you're like, completely covered looking like a Unabomber because it's, 30 miles an hour winds and it's 20 degrees out or below, because that's what yesterday, that was basically where we were at.
Yeah, that sounds not any kind of fun.
It's and it's fun until it's not, and it's like fun until it's just not comfortable. So having to pull that hose out and put it back in every time I got cold. So I was like, fuck that. I'm not putting that in my shirt anymore because it's like, it's chilly. I am cold. So then I was like, I guess I'm just not drinking water. And it's fine because I don't really drink a lot of water. It's weird. I wake up and I have like a pot of coffee to myself. And then I drink that slowly until 2:00. And then once it's time for me to socially acceptably drink beer, whether it's 2 because I'm at home or 5 because I have to finish work first. Then I just drink beer. So I don't really drink a lot of water anyways. And people don't understand. Like, I think I did the Cranberry Lake 50 for my challenge for that 2021 mile challenge. I was getting really behind. So I started like compounding all of these ultra hikes in. And I think I did like 100 miles over like 4 days with like one rest day. And so I did this like 52-mile hike. And then I had like a rest day. I hiked like 6 miles that day. And then I went out and we did like a 36-mile day. And I filled my 3-liter pack before the 50-miler. And I didn't run out of it until like there was still water in it when I finished the second ultra. So that's
so
how
do you have
little
another Camelback that's just full of like White Claw.
I feel like it, honestly, like maybe that would work. I mean, or like Bud Lights, it's basically water, right? So it would,
it's got just enough carbs in it, and then like the alcohol in it will act like aspirin.
Yeah, and it'll be great. And I'll be like, oh, I don't feel pain or feelings, so this is awesome. So I feel like maybe I should drink more beer when I hike, because I remember so when we did that 50-miler, we about 32. No, it was more than that. Probably about 35 miles in. We get to we had a stage car, so we took two cars. It's a loop, but we were like, we should probably just put a car here so we can change out, like if we've got wet gear, whatever, like we can just dump stuff, because after doing 30-something miles, you're going to be tired. So if we can throw out like trash, extra weight, and then have some more clothes in the car too, so we could switch out some stuff and not carry a bunch of extra shit. So we did that, and that's where when we got there, we stopped, we left the jet boil and all that in the car. So we made some peak mules. Peak mules. Did I say mules?
Well, fine. I mean, I don't know how you carry your stuff. Like, what if you did get a mule and bring it with you? I don't know. Also, Tommy,
Yeah, what if I had a mule?
yeah, Tommy
Mule.
comments is saying, sounds like you could have been a professional podiatrist.
So I
Wait,
so
I
we
read that wrong. Pedestrianist?
pedestrian
Is that,
pedestrianist.
I guess that'd be a professional person who walks.
I could maybe we could make it a title. We could put it on business cards.
That's all you need.
So for this part, and this is the best part about it, because we were hiking in the woods, and then for some reason, I mean, I guess it makes sense because there's like rivers and lakes and shit. So there's a couple miles where you just have to walk on pavement, like walk on the side of the road. And we stopped at the Jeep and we like made up these peak meals. I had a chili mac and cheese. You know, I couldn't find, I was out of the MRE, so I was like, well, I guess it's a close second, whatever. And so I have that. So we stop, we're changing out, and you know, my hiking partner's adding water because he actually drinks water. It's a weird thing. And I'm like, cool, you have a cooler beer. I have one of those. And there was one, it was like an 11% or something. And he was like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? And so I grabbed one of that beer, and it was a coffee stout. So I figured it kind of made sense. It didn't give me more energy. I got really angry once I sobered up after that because it was really cold and I was just over it at that point because we had been hiking for.
So you haven't had that like that PBR coffee then?
I did. It's so sweet and thick. I just.
Yeah. Also,
something women probably usually desire, just not that. Just not that.
Yeah. Also, Tommy saying that pedestrianism was a sport in the 1800s. Apparently, it was really popular at the time. But no, those like weird coffee infused. Like, leave my fucking coffee alone, please. Like,
this one.
I never tried the PBR one, and the convenience store down the street had a bunch of those. Apparently, Coke made Coke coffee, and they just sat there to the point to where like they were about to expire, so he was just giving them away, but like no one would take them. And I was like, "Fuck it, I'll take."
That good, huh?
I'll take a 6-pack of them just in case I like them. Got home, took one sip, threw it right in the fucking trash.
Okay, you know it's bad if a veteran will throw out some alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've been through a lot. College kids and veterans will usually, current service members, I guess, you know, hailing from that, will literally drink anything. I know because I drank the jungle juice and I drank some really shit beer in college. So it's it's bad when you're like, I can't, not even for me, dude. Cut me out.
Dude, yeah, no, like when I was in Pendleton, one of the things I would do to start the weekend, it was E3, so I had a good $40 in the bank account at any time, balling.
Yeah, the good times,
Yeah, so I would like to pregame. I would go to the liquor store right off base, and we would each get a Four Loko, and then we'd get an extra one because there was always a homeless dude in the alleyway that was going to ask for a sip, and it's like, all right, here you go, here's the homeless guy tax. And we'd hang out with whatever homeless dude was there that week, drink a Four Loko, and be like, okay, all right, now we can get started. Oh, Denny's has beer here. Fuck it, let's just get pancakes.
So that was back when like Four Loko was trendy, and was that when it still had like the energy in it? Or
oh yeah, no, this was 2008 or 9. Like this is
okay. This was after the controversy.
Yeah,
I know. I remember like
it wasn't Jack anymore.
and I've heard some stories, and also the Fitzy Mets reference about chugging Four Lokos and fighting, and so that's just like I remember even college days drinking Four Lokos, and I went to college in 2007, so it was after they had the whole controversy. They got rid of the energy in them, and so I just found that the Four Loko for me was like vodka. I just get fucked up and then just cry over nothing. So that typical drunk girl shit, I'm sure.
I don't know if that's drunk girl shit with that, because like every type of alcohol has its own like little different fucking twist on you, and different things when we do different stuff. Like tequila, I'm gonna fucking fight something. If I'm drinking rum, I'm gonna play guitar. If I'm drinking Jack Daniels, I'm gonna fuck and fight something. And if I can't find something to fight or fuck, I'm gonna fight and fuck myself. But if I drink vodka, I will sit in a dark room, listen to My Chemical Romance, and like write poetry and like weep. It's a bad thing. I don't go near vodka because it's like that.
Man, we should. I was actually, pretty much there, minus the poetry writing. I'm shit for a writer or
Oh, I didn't
art
say it
or
was good.
anything. I love it.
I didn't say it was
But
good. It was just words on the paper, like, "Ah, my mom doesn't
I
love
was
me."
just, yeah, I actually went through one of those moments. I did the, you know, I'm, you know, the 2021 mile challenge was over. And so I know, like, of course, not everybody is following me on Instagram or whatever, but you know, legendary underscore Lindsay. But so I was doing the army thing. I was trying to switch in and become an officer, and I aced the board. I mean, I just, every time they had a question, it was pretty easy for me to flow through that with leadership experience and all of that. And so I aced the board. My packet looked clean. They said they were going to forward it up, but they needed my DD 214 when I got to MEMS when I was there to get ready to, sign my contract. And I'm like, I don't, why is this a thing? And they were like, oh, well, we need it. And I said, yeah, but we're doing a transfer thing. And they were like, yeah, well, we need it from like your technical school and boot camp. And I was like, cool, except I'm Air Force. So, Air Force has to redo boot camp. I don't know if you remember this because you're a fucking recruiter and also are in charge of maps or whatever. So I don't know why this is relevant because civilians won't have that. And basically I'm a civilian because I'm in the Air Force and the Air Force doesn't count.
Also,
So,
you think that you would have like that in a computer that they could just pull up because they're the fucking admin dudes?
so it's weird, right? So I'm like blowing up my recruiter's phone because I flew in for this shit, right? And I was like, what? and and so one of the other recruiters from the station showed up, and because they have like 1.5 billion recruiters for some reason, probably because they have a hard time doing their fucking job. And they were like, oh yeah, we need this. And I said, I don't understand why you need this to open a slot for me, because all of these people sitting in here are day ones coming out of college and getting their spots, and they didn't need a DD 214. We're all going to boot camp. We're all going to officer candidate school. I don't understand. So it was fine. I went on. I was like, you know what? I have one. And because I'm smarter than you, I'm just going to borrow your computer really quick. And I'm just going to download one because my recruiter or my former chief, current chief, who doesn't want me to leave is probably not going to rush this. Right. So I go in and I have it sent and I'm like, who is the person this is going to? I send it to them. And then they come back. And because I fucked around for literally 10 hours, because I got there at 5 a.m, right? Took the bus and all the cool shit, got yelled at like I was a trainee, like I haven't been in and I don't know anything. And then it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My plane is taking off an hour away in an hour and a half. And I'm like, so what's going on? So I go on the master and I'm like, look, I'm not trying to fuck around anymore. I got a $15,000 reenlistment bonus if I stay with the Air Force. I can do that. I love my job. I wanted a chance to be an officer and help make changes and like try to help unfuck the shit that's going on in the Army, because we all know that the Air Force is really the one branch that actually like spends a little more time on their people. And I kind of wanted to transfer that over, right? Yeah, a little bit, my 4-star hotel in Tampa when I was at MacDill. Thank you. It was amazing. And so I'm like, maybe I can at least help my soldiers, right? Look out for them. And instead of it being, oh, your significant other or kid or parent, whatever died, and then you got into some dumb shit, how about we like fix the dumb shit? You acknowledge your problem, we get you some help, and then we push you back out to the fleet because you're a good soldier. Instead of just being like, oh, well, you fucked up, we're just going to push you out and we'll just spend thousands of taxpayer dollars bringing some other asshole in from Gen Z who wants to cry because their president didn't get elected and see if they can figure it out. Because you're kicking out people over not wanting shots and whatever else and having a bad day, who have been in for years and have had an impact, and you're going to kick them out because they're a dime a dozen because you can just bring someone else in. When a lot of these young kids don't know what adversity is because they're told that everything is something that needs to be fixed, that we should pay you money or give you something or, not give you grades or give you better grades, automatically pass you because you're entitled to it. None of these kids have worked through adversity. None of these kids have dealt with pain. And now they're starting to look at prescription records before you come in. And I'm like, So you want a bunch of perfect kids who've never been through shit, who think they deserve everything. I watched these kids sitting at lunch when I was in MEPS, and I'm like, honestly, like, I could do boot camp. I don't have a problem with boot camp. I don't have a problem with the training instructors. I understand that, right? I know that this is a whole process. You're supposed to get yelled at. You're supposed to fuck up. You're supposed to be corrected. You're supposed to get on your face. You're supposed to do push-ups when you forget to salute with a right hand or call somebody by the wrong rank or whatever it is. I understand that. But some of these young kids don't even know how to sit in a room with somebody who doesn't have the same mindset as them. If they don't agree with them, they hate them, they can't deal with them. And then they need a safe space for it. And like, I'm watching these kids and I'm like, that I can't do. I'm not going to watch a bunch of bitchy, snotty, the world owes me everything kids. Those are going to be the kids that I have to go through boot camp with and then go be an officer to protect. Right. Yeah. So I was like, now I'm too old for you. Right. They push me around at MEPS and then they're like, oh, well, we can do a waiver. And I'm like,
no, I'm good.
I'm not interested anymore. I can do my impact. I'd rather help the veterans who have been through real shit, right? Who have been through times of war, who have been through, been in a relationship for 15 years and have their spouse just leave them up and gone while they're deployed, or have their, kid die in combat, or, whatever it is, and help these kids. I don't have time for these kids who are in now going in that want to just cry about everything and be their advocate because they can't shut up and deal with the little things. Like our whole, system, like mental health is fucked right now, right? Like we all know mental health, military, veteran, and even the whole world. But there's so many people who don't understand being anxious because they have a test, or sad because they went through a breakup, and grief because they were literally beaten by their spouse and had to get out of that situation, or watch, one of their loved ones die, or watch somebody, go through some real shit in a deployment. That like, it's conflicting because like, of course I believe that mental health is something that everybody should, be able to get in check with, but there's like a difference between being, young and just not experiencing adversity, and then just going to social media and saying, I have anxiety, or I have depression, or I have PTSD, when you haven't actually been through it or properly diagnosed, and use it as something as like to be trendy or to get out of work, or I don't know, whatever you're trying to gain from it. Because I feel like now it's just popular, right? It's just like, oh, I have depression. Okay, well, have you ever been to a counselor? No, I just know I have it. Okay, well, being reliant on
the thing, like you don't get to say I have that. That's something somebody gives you. But also off of what you were saying, it seems to be like there's two ways to handle like a tough situation, and one of it's to like get tougher, and the other one's to sit down and cry. And it seems like people used to get tougher a lot more than sitting down and crying. And also, well, the PTSD and depression thing, I don't know if you saw it or not, but like I did this, I started this new YouTube thing where I like paint a picture and then like talk through the whole thing, kind of like an evil Bob Ross type deal. But the last one I did was called PTSD and depression, and the whole video.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was great. I loved it. Yeah.
And I'm broken the whole time.
Yeah. But you draw attention to like a real, like it's raw and it's real. And that's the thing, is that all of these you see, if you go to social media most of the time, it's like some pretty girl, flawless, like gorgeous. Not to say that pretty people can't have depression, but like I'm jealous because I want to be pretty with depression. But like if you go out there and you just, you had a bad day because you didn't get enough likes on your picture, or because your boyfriend broke up with you because you're too self-absorbed to take care of them. Don't go on social media looking your best, or even, putting your makeup on and then crying on purpose to say how tough your life is, when you didn't even say, How can I fix this? I
Unless
need
you
to get
want
help.
to go away, in which case it's like, all right, just make the sad person music. I'm here for you. I don't care. Here's my money. Give me your fucking record. But no.
Like,
Speaking of that though, that was actually a good marketing tool because like Instagram changed its fucking like algorithm or whatever, and I'm mostly on Instagram to try to sell shit. So I went on there and actually the first thing I did was I deleted like 500 people, and then I was like, hey, listen, if you're not engaging in my shit, fuck you, you're out. And then I'm sure you saw some of that going on.
I did, and I was there for. I was like,
Yeah, well, no, because then I just started like deleting fucking just like everybody like that I fucking could. My post engagement went through the fucking roof. I was like, oh, so this works. I just gotta threaten you, motherfuckers. All right.
yeah, right. Because like, it's just so easy for people to just. I mean, and I left a comment, on that one post and was like, oh, it's weird for people to just follow, right? Like, I don't understand that. I see like so many people, and I'm gonna call out the creepy old dudes for a second.
Do it.
Or just any dudes, right? Here's the thing. Let's just throw this out there. Men, and I mean women, I guess whoever, if you are interested in someone who is whatever sex you're interested in or gender, whatever we're supposed to say there, if you're interested in the type that you're interested in and you're talking to someone of that type thing,
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't like or follow. I mean, it's okay to like and appreciate physique if you're somebody who's into fitness or whatever sport it is. But like, if you're just following 1,000 of this type of person because they're showing off their ass or their tits or whatever,
Yeah.
like, don't be pissed off when the person you're interested in dips out because they're tired of your shit, because it is weird and it's creepy. And personally for me, if like if I'm into I'm into hiking, right?
Yeah.
And so say my significant other was like, oh, you like hiking, I'm going to get into that too. And they start following some hiking accounts, Eastern Mountain Sports, Grand Teton, national parks, whatever. Cool.
And the whole
But if
time you're
one
being
of
a
us,
creep in the comments, like, yeah, climb that hill, you dirty bitch.
yeah, but like the second you start following a bunch of these like trashy social media influencers that are out there, like making sure that every picture they're in like a sports bra with their, where their cleavage hanging out and flexing with their butt and stuff and being like, oh, here's this picture of this mountain that I probably literally drove to. And then you're liking a bunch of those
My
pictures of
from the trunk of the car.
yeah, right. And
it's
like,
by the way, it's all-wheel drive. It got me up the hill real nice.
and it's like, if you're going to follow a bunch of that kind of stuff, I think it's more probably because I've talked to people about this, and like I think it's more toxic in the fitness industry because it's very easy for someone to pass off, oh, it's about physique. But like if
Sure,
if you're interested in someone who's getting ready to prep and stuff, they want to post their progress photos, fine. Like I'm not dogging on anybody who wants to be like, yeah, I'm in this, but if you're doing it for validation because you need a bunch of strangers to like it, or you get pissed off because your spouse, significant other, is just a horny person that's just liking a bunch of other people's shit, like y'all are doing it to yourself.
yeah.
So if you're the person that wants to hold your relationship together and you don't want to be a suspect of cheating or being interested in someone, because I've been there, I got cheated on by a dude who was in the Marines who did that shit. And he was like, he talked about priding himself and standard and blah, blah, and doing all the whole, I'm a Marine, blah, 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 and then turn around and was hooking up with this Army officer while I was away, like doing my shit, saying that he couldn't get someone to board his dogs. And that was why he couldn't come down to see me. I had a cat. I had a no dog policy in my apartment. His dogs were the sweetest. They loved me. And I could tell the last time I went there, Bella was up my ass, and she like something was wrong, right? Like it just seemed it was off, and she could sense tension, and she was there for me. And then I ended up finding out because the girl figured out like that he was with me, right? And she messaged me and was like, hey, I've been sleeping with your boyfriend, by the way. I'm like, all right, cool, you're not trashy, so that's awesome. But like, How did I find that?
Wait. How did she say that though? She's like, "Hey, by the way, I'm sorry to tell you this, but me and whoever's been hooking up was like, guess who I banged last night? His name starts with your and ends with oi friend."
Yeah, it was literally it was basically like that. Like it was so wild. So I saw, so this is the thing to the guys out there listening, or girl, whatever, because there's whatever.
Yeah, no kink shaming.
Listen, here's the thing is that women are really good investigators, and then like the the girl of the boy relationship, I don't know, whatever. But people who are suspect are very good at investigating. Yeah. And so I saw, because he wasn't super popular. So I guess if you've got over 10,000 followers and you get more than 1,000 likes on your pictures, maybe it's a little bit easier to hide your cheating. But since he didn't have that, because he really wasn't that cool and really only got into better shape because I was encouraging hiking, lifting, doing all this crazy fitness shit, which is weird because I'm Air Force. We're not supposed to do that. Like, where's my fucking chair, right?
Well, you're not supposed to be more physically active, but you're also supposed to take better care of your body at the same time. It's this weird catch-22.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like we're supposed to do detoxes and like wraps, right? It works very well. And so yeah, so like I saw, that because there's the algorithm and all that, and you can see when like a habitual liker likes a lot of your posts, it'll show up. So if you're seeing someone, I think I might just be like, a lot of couples are going to be arguing now. So if you go and you go,
hate my relationship that's getting ruined.
If you go to look at someone's post, you'll see like a name in front that says like so and so and 100 others like this, right? And usually you'll see the same name pop up because they're a habitual liker. Yeah. And if it's not you, you maybe want to ask questions if it's somebody that's the same you, gender, sex, whatever, and how long they've known them, right? Like if it's not their sister or their mom, like maybe ask some questions. And if you're from like West Virginia or something, then maybe you should still ask questions. But anyway, so like I see this popping up and I was like, oh, I'm like, wow, that girl's cute. She goes to the same college that he does. And then I randomly caught a comment that she posted on one of his pictures that I took of him at the gym. And it was like the hearts and eyes emoji and fire or whatever. I liked it. So that's how she got on my radar, right? Like that's how she figured out who I was, how she'd been tracking me. And of course, yeah. And so she was obviously investigating me while I'm investigating her. But I don't do a lot with my personal life on social media because I am smart. And as a person of the military, I don't need to give anybody ammo to come at me to say, oh, well, I have this, that, or the other thing on this person, that person, or the other person to make me feel
where your troops are going.
Right. Like I'm pretty good at making sure that I don't need anyone to hold anything against me or to contact those people and say I'm in danger and they want something from them if they want money or whatever. Because my Facebook got hacked and something happened there and that was the whole thing.
Wait. So your Facebook got hacked and then somebody said, we have Lindsay. She's in Somalia. If you don't give us $5 million, we're going to like do one of those ISIS execution videos.
Well, no, but I had several accounts that I was physically informed of that I don't know how many are actually out there, but I had people reach out to me on Instagram saying that people from Whisper, which I don't even know what that is, WhatsApp, which I don't even use, another Facebook account, other Instagram accounts, on Tinder, Bumble, that people took the person who hacked it, got all my information from Facebook and use that information to make accounts to catfish people and try to get money and stuff like that. So I learned from that I'm not going to put anything about my personal life outside of me on my social media, because for one, me is not about them, but also I don't need them to be taken advantage of, and I don't need someone coming at me using them against me, right? Like it's just
get crazy with that
where people in the military will post their kids and their parents and all kinds of shit and like tag them, and I'm like, I mean, that's cool and I support you, but like don't be pissed someday when this is literally the digital media age and people are using your data against you. That like, just be careful, right? So
yeah, no, same thing. Like, I don't think, like, I've been married for a few years. I've been dating my girlfriend forever. Well, not my girlfriend, but wife when she was girlfriend forever. But I don't think I have a picture of me and her on the internet together.
Yep. And I mean, and it's not
I'm not even sure we're friends on Facebook.
It's not weird if you're not being weird, right? Because like some people hide it to cheat, but I don't think like if you have the reasons for it and if it's not your platform, some people like social media influencers, whatever, their whole thing is like traveling with kids or being a mom. And I'm like, I guess talking about that kind of stuff is like important to you. But if like your whole platform is stuff that has anything to do with your counterpart, like it's unnecessary information that just clouds the stream, right? So
yeah. Also, real quick, I have a question about that. Can you show me your credit card real quick? And then flip it back.
Yeah, hold on, it's right here. No, I'm just kidding. It's like it would be.
What's your birthday? Last 4 of your social security
number? Yeah, my maiden name, whatever. Yeah. No, it's funny because I don't even know where it is. I actually dropped my. I just drop everything, and I'm like going through my car, getting ready. We're like about to walk to this brewery, and I'm like, and I was like, oh, okay, I need my ID, whatever, and I pull my ID and my card out, and then like we get up the hill, like we leave the driveway, and we're walking down the street, and I'm like, hold on a second, I'm like, this isn't right. I'm like, I know I had my ID. I was like, I feel like, I'm like, am I stupid? Like, am I losing my mind? I'm like, I know I just had it, and my friend's like, oh, you mean this? I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. Where'd you get that? And I was like, you dropped it. I was like, oh, cool, awesome. Okay, that's the thing.
Say, hey, person, shit. Just I'm gonna carry it till somebody asks. Well, you kind of look like him. What's your Homer record? What's your
like? Oh my god! I try to travel light, and I don't carry a lot. Try to avoid giving out information because of that. And then like. The one thing I have that can prove that I am who I am in case I get held up for something. And I'm like, no, I swear that's not who I am. I'm legendary Lindsay. My name's, I'm like, oh, I don't have it. It's my name isn't even spelled right on my REI credit card. So that's cool.
Yeah, whoops. Well, my name's not spelled right on my hunting license. So, I mean, I guess we're
like, it's me. It's you guys that are dumb, not me. But so yeah,
here's 3 forms of government ID. They're all valid, even if shit's spelled wrong. That's the government, not me.
I can promise I own this. But yeah, so that's how I found out. That guy tagged. She commented. I liked it. He deleted it. I wasn't gonna waste my time messaging her and causing drama because it didn't have any proof, right? I didn't know who this chick was. Maybe she was just some thirsty hoe, whatever. Which obviously she was, but she was actually getting, she won, right? Yeah. And so then she messages me like the following weekend after I see that. And what I did was, because I'm sneaky or smart probably, we went on this like date night thing, and he posted a picture of where the lake and where we were at. We were watching like the Palisades or whatever, some meteor shower, and repost app. I copied his exact post and posted it to my account, but I took out the reposted by, like I cropped out his name. And so it was the same exact picture. And then I posted it, and I was like, acted like it was myself. I was like, had a really good time watching the meteor shower, blah, 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 whatever. And so like, it was pretty subtle. Like I didn't tag him in it or anything, but of course she was watching me. And so she messaged me and she was like, oh, it was so wild. Cause she was like, oh, so, you don't know me, but, I do know my boyfriend at the time. And then she's like, yeah, so by the way, we've been sleeping together for the past couple weeks and blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I don't know if you're trying to gain territory or whatever. Honestly, obviously, this is showing me that he's trash and you're trash and you can have him, because the fact that you had to point out that you were sleeping with him instead of being like, hey, girl, like,
maybe check out
your boyfriend was telling me that you guys have been or this individual was telling me you guys have been fighting. Can you clarify when the last time you guys spoke or hung out was? Obviously, you hung out. And I could say, yeah, I didn't know there was anything wrong because he just told me he loved me and bought me this, that, and the other thing and whatever. But instead, she was like, hey, by the way, I've been sleeping with him. And I was like, cool. Y'all enjoy. I'm going to pack my shit and I'm going to go.
I'm going to hike my ass out of here because fuck this.
Right? Like, do you know what I did? I had some hiking gear and stuff there. I made sure I got all my stuff and I got out and I was like, I'm done. And then, and then I saw they were like still talking and whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. It shows how much self-respect you have for yourself. Like, you think that you were so special that he left me for you, when I have like the text message thread from him because we got in an argument and I said, I don't even need it. Pack my shit. And I took off. And then he tried to like, oh, I'm not happy with myself. Like, I have poor self-esteem, blah, blah, blah. And then tried to like make it my fault that I couldn't be there every weekend when I was always driving up to him. Right. And I was like, I don't even care. Like, good luck.
And that's an excuse too. You can't be there every weekend. Dude, aren't you both in the military? Like, shouldn't y'all have like 6 months periods where you don't see each other?
Right. And so, well, I come to find out he actually got kicked out for insubordination and disrespecting a female officer. So that's weird. He told people a whole different story and try to make it sound like a war hero when he'd never been deployed. I'm like, you want to sit here and make fun of my deployment to Kuwait when you've never even left fucking Arizona? Like, cool.
Wait, so he's in Yuma. That's even fucking better. Let me guess, air winger or admin?
What's the one where you give the people who have the guns ammo?
Ammo tech.
Yeah, whatever. Like, he worked in the armory or whatever, which ended up, that's the same base where he may or may not have known the person who got in trouble for like stealing parts from there and like there's like a whole thing. I don't know how much of that went public, but he had like, this was years ago. So
wait, hold on real quick. Like, was this between like 2012 and 2017 time frame?
It had to be, because I met him in 2016 and he had just separated or was like separated around that time. And he was telling me the story about something about like parts that were unaccounted for. And they found out that he had like sold some of them. He ended up there was a whole investigation. And yeah, so I'm like,
the reason cool. I asked is because my buddy Evan is in the comments and he's in Yuma right now. And he's been there for a hot minute. I was about to say, like, I should really ask Evan if this is one of the dudes that his wife fucked for him.
So, and it was actually really funny because then I came to find out that apparently he had married someone while he was there or was with her a long time. I don't know. And then he said that he cheated on her. Let me go. He said she cheated on him. And then he went back, got out and went back. And the last girl he dated before me also cheated on him. And what I came to find out through a source was that actually he was talking about her, and this is kind of like a whole thing that just blows my mind because there's the whole thing about women walking mattresses, blah, blah, whatever. And he said that he was telling everyone that she cheated on him, right? And I guess what actually happened was while he was with her, the source knows that he specifically brought someone else to a family gathering.
That's
and
smart.
Right. And this was before they got married, but then they got married and he was still talking to the girl that he brought to the event. So everyone was confused. There was a lot of conflicting stories, but yeah, so I heard differently. And so after we had broken up, and I mean, years later, cause this was like this was like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And so this past year, just randomly, I got talking to this person on Instagram and they were like, oh, so they asked me about this individual and what had happened. And then I told my side of the story. And they were like, that's really funny because I heard the same exact story with the roles reversed. So I was the bad guy, right? So I was the cheater. And I was like, that's really funny because you can go into my Instagram post and see where I completely tore myself apart, went back into my exercise bulimia, went back into just working out like a motherfucker. Like I just couldn't find my self-worth. Like I was doing everything to stand on the rooftop and scream that I was okay when I was falling apart inside. And it is very obvious. And I didn't take them out for that reason, because you can read those comments and be like, yeah, she was definitely hurting and begging for attention. And I'm not ashamed of it, because now I know that and I recognize that. And I know for like my own outreach, I can see that in other people, and I can tell when people are hurting because that's the type of shit you post. And she was like, yeah, she's like, it's really interesting because like the person I was talking to was like, yeah, that's crazy because they told that same story and the roles were reversed, but from how other things are unfolding, right? And this is like the great thing about like the power of humanity and like people with humility, is that like this person who doesn't owe me anything and doesn't know me, and I will make it a point to go see, because I've supported their business because they do small business and stuff, and like just the for that, for no reason to say, hey, you know what, honestly, fuck this person and the reason that I have to be tied to this person or whatever this alliance. I hear you, and I'm sorry that you went through that. And it was crazy to realize that like this person lied to me, and then all of this story, or lied to them and then lied to me about all of those stories, because they clarified like, oh, I'm so sorry because back then this, that, and the other thing happened, and I remember hearing about this and I remember seeing that. And I'm like, that's funny because the stories that you're telling me are also polar opposite, where the roles are reversed, and what he did, he said they did, right? So it's like a really toxic, just like somebody who's really just fucked. And just like I had to sit there and feel bad for this guy when I met him. It's just how crazy like fake people can be, because it only took him a couple seconds to notice some of the little things, right? And like the type of flower I liked, and the things that make me giggle, and the types of beers that I like, and like just being able to pay attention in a world where so many people don't, that you take those small little moments and you're like, oh my God. And then I was just like tranced. Like it was something like he had an art. Like it was actually incredible.
Yeah,
how
it's called a con artist. All right,
like
there's a word that goes before that.
Like just like so, like it was the art of manipulation. Like if you could pin that on someone, I feel like this guy, because I think they've got like movies on that, like trying to sell people into like these like the multi-level scams or whatever they call them, multi-media yeah, like mainstream, I don't know, whatever. So those MSM things, and like he could run that and really teach people how to destroy lives based on emotion. And it was like, I was pissed at him. Like, what he did was pretty fucked up. But at the end of the day, I was like, man, like, he would be a good politician,
Yeah, isn't that kind of a fucking shitty thing though, that like the more of a lizard person you are, the better qualified you are to like be in Congress?
It's so crazy. Like I sat here, we're in this, talking about influencing and levels of power, and I'm gonna say something that's really hard for people to really admit. In like all this stuff that's happened with COVID and social justice and all of that, it's really easy, like I wish I would have gone into marketing and advertising. Like I dropped out of photography and digital media. That was my first plan going into college. And I'm like, man, if only I would have stayed in that, because how easy is it to make money now when all of these companies, corporate America just gets on and they're like, oh, we're going to put a minority person or a disabled person, or we're going to throw them in the media. We're going to tell everyone we support this. Like, you had how many years, how many decades of your company to include these people, and now all of a sudden you're going to throw some free sneakers at them, put them on some marketing, and think that that's just going to do all right with the world. And you shouldn't be held accountable for whatever is happening, right? Like, oh, hopefully people won't loot my stores and throw bricks through my windows. And all of a sudden, like, you think that you're just a better person. And now people are going to look at that and say, oh my God, look at these people supporting this. We should buy all of their shit,
Yeah,
because that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing right now, is people are saying, oh my God, they support diversity and inclusion.
No, they use the hashtag. There's a difference.
No, they know that you will spend money on them because they're saying they support that. Putting that in there and employing people and giving free shit doesn't mean jack, because what people don't understand is, like, you donate money, right? So that was a big thing. A bunch of banks who were probably terrified because they saw some of their banks in bigger cities getting looted and having windows broken and shit. And so all of a sudden, a bunch of banks started, donating to BLM and X, Y, and Z companies, right? And you saw, if you go back into the news articles of that, you saw a lot of companies started throwing a ton of money at these organizations during social justice movements, and I feel like an asshole for not having this right, but when they started, like, attacking the Asians because of COVID, and they were blaming, like, New York City Asians for, like, that wild thing that was going on, for people in the city.
Get the fuck out of me.
Right. And so then there was, like, an organization that stood up for that. And they started throwing money at that too. And people were like, oh, look at them supporting them. Like, turns out
you did this like last year. That's when you should have started.
Yeah. Turns out that donations are a tax deduction. So all they did was move their donations to another place so they could put it on the news. So you would go buy their shit and they would still get their tax write-offs because they donated $1 million that they don't have to pay taxes on now because they donated it. And so a lot of people don't realize that. So a lot of people are going in, running, and buying up all their clothes at all of these, like, corporate companies, and, because the outdoors are for everyone. Well, they have been, right? They have been. I know it's unfortunate that in some areas and, like, local parks and stuff, I know that there's a whole thing where people are going to look and say, what are you doing here? Because someone's not like them. But, like, as far as I've seen, like, out on the trails where I've ever been, I've always been met with kindness. I've always treated people with kindness. I don't think anyone's ever said, you can't go here. Right. And I understand not having access because
seriously, there's bears and mountain lions. You will get eaten.
Right. Like, they don't care. Right. But the rest of us, like, as people, I feel like that's, for those of us that are out there, like, that have been out there, that have been hiking our whole lives, we never looked out there and said, I don't want you out here hiking if you don't look like me. Right. Like, that's not a thing. So we have this movement, and I appreciate promoting, like, people who don't have a car and helping them get to the mountains if they want to. I definitely want everyone to get outside. And I think that we, if someone says, hey, I want to go hiking, and I'm not going to whiz by their house and say, screw you. Like, if they need a ride, I can give them a ride. Right. But, like, to sit here and make it seem like we put up gates and say, hey, you're not one of us, you're not allowed here. Like, it's crazy. Like, this whole thing that's going on to make it sound like we think that, non-hikers, like, if you haven't been there, done this, that you don't belong. And so it's crazy watching this whole thing unravel, and then watching corporations, like, play into this and make it seem like there's a bigger divide than there is, and to say, oh, well, we don't stand for that, so we're going to give you free stuff and we're going to pay for you to go on these hikes. And I'm like, And I'm like sitting here looking and I'm like, how much money have I spent on this company promoting mental health, promoting veteran suicide awareness, all this, and not got looked at one time for someone to say, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. We would love to promote you. Not even give me free shit, but to just say, hey, we hear you. We understand veteran suicide's a problem. We understand military mental health is a fucking mess. We understand the VA sucks and is not doing a lot to help us or get better at it. We're going to push your message just to push it. Instead, they're like, you know what would make more sense if we put this person that has never hiked on a billboard and say, look at all the free stuff we gave them because they couldn't afford to get out there before, and now we're supporting them. We stand with you, and we think you deserve to be there too.
Well,
and then the rest of us are like,
nobody actually supports the troops. Like when people say thank you for your service, all that really means is, well, but glad somebody else did it and I didn't have to.
Right? Like it's crazy because, you know, I've called it up a couple times, and there was actually a small store. One of my friends was like, so probably, to be honest, probably didn't approach it the wrong way. Or the right way. There was kind of, you know, some language and exchange of some people back and forth. And you can't throw the term woke out to a very liberal company because all of your followers for that company are going to get very upset because, you know, if you call a spade a spade. But the whole point was,
you should be kicking your followers off more often anyway.
Right. And so the interesting part was when I said that I had repeatedly like screamed at the top of my lungs about military mental health and veteran suicide awareness and how many miles I had hiked. Like, you got people out there that they're giving free shit to say, we support you and we hear you, that go and hike like a, 3-mile hike, or when you really need nothing more than a JanSport backpack and a fucking plastic Poland Spring water bottle,
they're
gearing
2021 miles last year alone.
Yeah. And like all of the money I spent, all the gear that I needed, all of that. Right. And I figured it out. I got it done. Right. And there were a lot of days where I hiked 5 miles with a water bottle just because I didn't feel like carrying a pack. So I know you don't need to throw a 20-liter pack on someone's back for them to put a hoodie and a Poland Spring water bottle in it. But they did it because it was their feel good, and they could write off giving that product out and say, look at us supporting this minority group because we care about it. So now buy our shit. And then a bunch of people look at it and say, oh my God, look at what they're doing. We should buy that from now on. Like Deuter packs, German pack brand, Colorado. The shit went down with the fires, and they said, you know what? We're going to give backpacks to this entire community. We don't give a fuck what they are, who they are, what they do. We want people to be better. We want people to feel like they're important, that we understand what's going on, that they've lost their homes. And they gave out stuff, and they didn't care who it was for, and they didn't put it on their social media to say, look, we supported this group, or we put this out there. They said, hey, Colorado fire sucked. Please donate. And then they turn around and they didn't even blast that they put their own donations out there. Mm-hmm. I saw them because I follow other companies who said, oh my God, this brand gave us all these backpacks to give to all these people, which are people from all over the place, because Colorado isn't even really a bunch of, it's a lot of transplants. It's a lot of veterans. It's, gays, blacks, Asians, blacks, African-Americans, blah, blah,
Yeah.
And all that, all of the different, Hispanics, Spanish, Mexicans, blah, blah, whatever, all down the line, whites, and all kinds of people. And they said, hey, we just want to help them because they're people. And this is hurting this entire community. We have friends that live here. We have businesses we support that are here. And we're doing this. It wasn't a look at me for doing this. They just did it. And I just followed some companies that shouted them out. And like, that's a brand I'll support for the rest of my life because they do stuff by the good of their heart, not to say, look at me, buy more shit. Right. And a lot of these, what was that?
Who is this again though?
This is Deuter. They are, this is Deuter. I think it's the pack that I always wear. I've had this pack for years. It's amazing. I am 100%. I'm trying to plug my phone in because this is dying. I'm 100% for American made. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes shoes, shoes, backpacks. Sorry, the light changed a little bit. That's fine.
No, not the light.
Oh no, there we are. But like some of these, and that's probably why, right? Is these brands who are originally European based, they don't have the, you know, the whole "it works in other countries" thing. Have you noticed we've stopped hearing a lot of that lately?
Yeah, because it doesn't. I don't care if it like works in a different country, and B, no, it doesn't. You're saying it is.
Well, it doesn't because they saw that, right? Like a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with now actually wouldn't be tolerated and no one would care, right? Like they say, no one cares, do better, work harder. People there have to work. They don't just give shit out to people all the time. Like you have to earn your keep. They close their borders. Like a lot of the stuff that they're dealing with is not stuff that we deal with anymore, right? So, I do follow a couple of brands that do a whole lot, like Innovate, the shoes that I wear. They're in the UK. They made a big statement about mental health at one point. I was really impressed with that because during Suicide Awareness Month, a lot of companies were doing some more stuff about, saying they promote diversity, but really singling out groups and saying we need to support them and pushing this thing. And for people to say, oh my God, that's so great, they're doing that. A lot of corporate media corporate brands, all the, mainstream media, a lot of that was very, very silent about mental health, about suicide awareness, about military mental health, all of those things. Like you said, people say support the troops, thank you for your service. A lot of them don't mean it. And a lot of those companies realize we have, like years ago, back when 9/11 happened, sure, all of those companies, because that was it. We were a pawn then. We aren't now like the minorities are, and why these, the other genders and orientations are and stuff. But we were a pawn back then, right? 9/11. There was all kinds of messages for the troops, and all those companies were doing were just getting attention. They just wanted to make money off of us. Oh my God, all these people are going to war. I have family and friends that are over there fighting the good fight right now. People are dying, and my husband or my brother or my best friend might come home in a box. So let's go buy from these companies who are saying they support my family.
And that whole thing's fucking bullshit too, because it's like, hey, we support. Like, I'm doing this fucking thing where like I'm looking for a job right now, and there's so much shit where I'm applying for. Where it's like, hey, we have this thing where it's, I think they call it like a veterans fucking like preference or whatever. So like, if you're a disabled veteran, they're supposed to give you the job first, and it's like, all right, listen, I've applied to at least 20 jobs. It says if you have a VA disability rating, we're gonna like look at you first, and it's like, you guys could at least reply to my fucking emails. Like, if you support the troops, give me a fucking job. How about that? No, no. Or stop saying that you support the troops if you're not gonna fucking like at least give me a fucking.
Or say we have X amount of people right now. We don't need anyone right away. We're waiting a couple months, or we picked another candidate. Like, at least give you the courtesy to not sit around and wait, right? Because I'm
the fucking email back.
Like, don't even take the time. But yeah, you're welcome for my service.
Yeah.
It's
saying that. Thank you for your service. You're fucking welcome.
Yeah. You're goddamn welcome. Yeah, it's crazy. It's sad. Because it's one of those things, like I by no means think that anyone should be excluded from anything. I think, due diligence, right? Like, if somebody works hard for something, they should get it, right? So I don't think that there should be a prejudice against people who aren't like you. Like, if a business does, if somebody owns a business and they specifically won't hire certain people because they have a, some sort of anti sentiment against them, shame on them.
Unless the people they aren't hiring are communists, in which case,
right? Yeah. Or like if you're like a, child rapist or something like that. But like, otherwise, like, I'm not saying that like we shouldn't support people of different, backgrounds, and, I'm all for diversity for sure. But what I'm against is the fact the media will literally take advantage of us for our money. And there's people that will sit there and are just too blind to see it. And I just almost feel bad. Then I'm like, you will literally spend extra X amount of dollars to buy something to support this company because they say they support this, but really all it is a marketing tactic. I have a background in marketing and advertising and all that. I didn't finish my degree, but I do know that your priority, I mean, it's the whole thing for all of us on social media, right? You sell what the people are looking for. If I ended up getting married and having kids and my whole account has been hiking, do you think that all the hiking people are going to give a fuck about me giving my kid a bath or breastfeeding it?
Nope.
No. Some weird, creepy dudes might be into the fact that I might be showing a little nipple breastfeeding my kid. But
And I'm going to troll it, but you know.
I might do a sexy look.
2 out of 10, not enough boob.
But like, but in the reality of it, most of my followers are there because I post hiking content. They don't care about my political views. They don't care about, I do have a lot of people who follow for like my, my mental health stuff, but most of them, like if it has nothing to do with hiking or mental health, a lot of that shit will just scroll by. And like people were, I got onto this thing. It was like a, hold on, I lost my train of thought.
Well, while you're thinking about that, like, I know that like when I'm going through your shit, like half the time I'm like, dude, that's really pretty. Where the fuck are you at?
everywhere hiking, just going wherever I can go. Yeah. And like, so I remember now, speaking of pretty places. So people are always like, oh my God, you travel so much, whatever. And I'm like, okay, so here's the reality of it. What you see on your social media influencers pages of these bands and this whole glamorous thing, and they've got these comfy beds and shit. I don't know where they're getting the money, or they're getting it from inheritance or trust funds, or somebody's paying for their shit. They've got a rich boyfriend, or they've got a sugar daddy, sugar mama, whatever. I literally go and I have a sleeping mat from like my camping setup that when I was traveling, I lay out that sleeping mat in the back of my Subaru Forester because like the back seat can fold down, and I'm small enough that if I push my driver's seat or either of the seats all the way up, I can put all of my, like pack most of my stuff behind the seat that's pushed all the way forward so that all of that lays flat. I can put my sleeping mat on there and I can sleep in there. So if I don't feel like setting up a tent or a hammock, whatever, but most of my travels, I was, parking lots, the backseat of my car, at a campground on a hammock or a tent, whatever, did some backpacking, obviously, and camped in the woods. But there was, when I was traveling this summer, I did not, if I slept in a structure with comfort and a shower, it was a friend or family's house. Like it was somebody who opened their doors and said, you can shower and sleep on the couch or in the guest bedroom. The rest of it, like I didn't pay for hotels or Airbnbs or any of that fancy shit. I didn't glamp. So when people are like, "Oh, must be nice," I was like, "Yeah, imagine what it's like. Imagine what it's like being a good fucking person." Because when I went to Idaho, I planned to be out there for 3 weeks, car camping. Like I literally bought like a 3-gallon water reservoir with a pump to be able to shower outside my fucking car, and that's a thing I'll do. I wasn't worried about it, but one of my friends that I had deployed with had randomly met somebody out there on a road trip. And she, like, when he told her that I was traveling through, she said, give her my number. And so my friend texted me and said, hey, this is, one of this girl I met while I was in Boise on my road trip. She said to hit her up, and I messaged her. And I was thinking like, I might maybe go meet up with her for lunch and try to con her into letting me use her shower a day and like do some laundry halfway through my trip. And when I told her, she said, girl, come out here.
Artist trying to fucking manipulate somebody to use her laundry.
Like I just need your shower and your washing machine. Yeah. So, and when I messaged her and I told her, and she was like, girl, I have some plans tonight, tomorrow, but tomorrow afternoon, you're more than welcome to come over, make yourself at home. And then I stayed with her. Right. I did some car camping just because of some of the places I went. I like camped, like I drove up to the trail and then I like camped out. But for the most of it, like I was out there. And if it wasn't, like, she was a godsend. I could have made it work. I could have had ramen in my jet boil. I had the water. I could go to like a gym or something and like fill up some water if I needed to like refresh or go to a campground, whatever. I could have done it. But that made it a hell of a lot easier with all the trail planning I had to do and stuff. It was definitely like super helpful. But for all of that, it was never, I didn't have sponsors. My mom and dad didn't pay for that shit. No one, the people, my followers, some of my friends gave me money for my birthday, gave me money to help me with my travels. Like some Soldier Socks is, a company I post a lot on my social media. They gave me some money to help me with my Boise Trails challenge I did, to help pay for, me while I was out there. And so, I definitely had some people who just out of the kindness of their heart, just like said, hey, here's some money to make your travels a little bit more luxurious. One of my friends, I had an injury, and so somebody, had paid for me to go get some cryotherapy, which was a miracle work. It was awesome. And so, but none of that was like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go glamping and stay in this, like,
Is that what it's called, glamping?
Yeah, that's like a thing, right? So I didn't go stay in this fancy looking heated tent with running water for $200 a night. Like I never did any of that. If it cost money, I did whatever I could to make it not cost money. And I spent more nights in my Subaru sleeping in the back seat of it than I didn't, right? So, I mean, but of course, I don't fit any one of their ploys. I was doing it for military mental health awareness. So did Subaru or REI or any of those brands care that I was doing it? No, absolutely not. Right. They can't put depression or anxiety or ADHD on a billboard with my face that no one would know. They'd be like, oh, here's another entitled white girl. So, it didn't work out, but I struggled significantly. I dealt with stuff mentally, physically, emotionally, like the whole bit. But I did all of what I did because people recognized the good in me that were good people themselves. And it's the same shit I would do to somebody else. Like somebody was coming through and I was in touch with them on Instagram, social media, whatever. And they said they were driving through to drive from the East Coast or the West Coast to go the other way. And they were passing through Kansas. I'd be like, sure, you know what? Go ahead. Let's, come here. I'll make you a hot meal. You can stay the night. You can take a shower. If you don't want to stay the night, you can at least wash your clothes and take a shower, and just, if they're for something, I would support that. And I met a lot of people like that. So I didn't have to, I didn't have, these big brands schmoozing me along and paying for my shit. And I don't have an inheritance. My family's poor. Like we didn't grow up with shit. They're doing well now, but my parents never got inheritances themselves. My parents didn't have much to give when we were, they're working on saving for their retirement now that we're not there and putting that burden on them. We might have something when, they go on. Hopefully we don't, so that I know that they can use that themselves. Right. And so it was tough, right? Like it was all of that work in that logistics and hoping that like the weather wasn't going to be too bad so I could stay, sleep in the woods. And like all of that was definitely like some hard work. It wasn't like it was handed to me. And so when people were like, oh, must be nice, I'm like, look, for someone who is a hard worker and a go-getter, it was very tough for me to say, hey, I need a couple months off to do this because this is important to me. So it was definitely not oh, I'm just going to go do whatever I want and get up and not feel bad about it. Right. Like there was always that lingering guilt. Like I should be doing more. Like I should be giving more. Like what I was raising for money didn't feel like it was enough to justify my time off. And so it was a struggle. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to go out here and hike and live my best life and take these pretty pictures. Some of my hikes were actually really fucking miserable. The weather was shit and I didn't get good pictures, or the weather was okay and my photographers just weren't great. That I didn't walk out of everything I did. Like I posted only a fraction of what I actually did, but the time spent, and I was like, sorry, no offense. I didn't put, all of the days I worked at the hospital, that I worked in the clinic, that all the time that I spent like volunteering and preparing and all of the other stuff that I did to justify my reason to be out here. But like, it wasn't just hey, here's some money, go have fun from anybody. Like it was a very tough decision for me to say, hey, I need to take a break right now and go do this for me and spread that awareness, because this is a topic that I really feel like we need to talk about more. And I had a lot of people that really supported me along the way, and I was very thankful for that. And I definitely couldn't have done that without them.
Yeah.
But to sit there and think that like must be nice or that seems like an easy life, like it's not. It's different than like what I did was very much different from what the influencers or whatever are doing now. Is like, they're just driving around and taking pictures at Arches National Park and Glacier and whatever. But like I went to some places that like aren't super popular. I picked the state high points. I picked trails that weren't, national forests and state parks instead of the national parks to try to reduce that burden on going out to these places that are heavily crowded. So it was definitely a lot more of a challenge than just like driving a van around and staying at the places that you saw are the prettiest to take pictures of. Because I mean, yesterday the pictures I'll post them eventually, but a lot of the hikes that I do, they're definitely not for glamour because some of them you're lucky that you just got out of there without like frostbite or hypothermia. So there's that.
I was on a road trip. I think I was outside of Roswell, but I ran into this woman that was like living out the back of her. She had like the really nice apartment thing that you put in the back of like a Ford Ranger. I don't know what you call it. Thing.
Was like the teardrop thing?
Something like that. But yeah, like her like house was in the back of a Ford Ranger, so like the only thing she did was sleep. But she worked for Hallmark, I believe, and her job was to go out on hikes and like take pictures of shit and send them back, and they would put it on cards, and they would say, they would give her like $500 like per usable image or whatever, which she only made
God, so great.
Yeah, and she only made like $3,000 a month, but if she lived in her car and like yeah, I know. But,
sorry,
but yeah, she lived out of the back of her truck and then fucking went around and just took pictures of fucking shit on her fucking hikes. They put them on cards and then she just travel and fucking hike. And yes, I am saying only $3,000 a month because I mean,
like she probably deserved more, right? She was probably a good person that really put some work into that. But it's so crazy because I've been trying. I'm like, how do I only want to make $2,000 a month to do this shit, right? Like if I could figure out how to travel around, take these hikes or kayaking trips or mountain biking trips and get people to just come along, talk about mental health, like encourage people to go to therapy, talk about shit that they've been through, just let them just kind of vent a little bit. And then like, try to raise money for organizations. If I could get paid $2,000 a month to do what I've been doing, like I don't even need 3,000, 2,000, fuck it, 1,500 bucks a month.
Well, if I remember right, they weren't paying her like per diem or like mileage or anything. Like that was like total. So, and like she was,
but it's lit. So the way that I was doing, I mean, I guess pulling that because my Forester, which is why I do this way, is my Forester gets incredible gas mileage. Yeah. So like gas and tolls, I probably spend about $500 to $750 a month on just getting there. Yeah. Luckily I have the gear, all that is fine. But if I have to get like a hotel or like when the weather's bad, like right now, there was a point when I was coming from Kansas trying to get out here. I had to get to Virginia a little bit sooner. I had an obligation to handle and I left a little late. And at that point I was like, you know what? It doesn't make sense to spend $100 on a hotel. I'm just gonna I took like a 3-4 hour nap and I just stopped at a rest station, went to the bathroom, came back to my car, just left it idling and just passed out and just slept in my driver's seat because I had a bunch of stuff in my car. So I couldn't I didn't have the traditional, plus it was so cold. It's like 30 degrees out. I didn't plan, I didn't really want to leave my car running and then climb into the back. I wanted to be accessible to the ignition. Right. And so I just ended up just passing out on the front seat, reclining it back, throwing my whoopee over me and just passed out for a couple hours. And then I woke up and I was like, this is enough to get to a gas station, slam some coffee and just hammer down another 7 hours. And I just did it. But most of the time, when I'm traveling, I will be bringing some paintings down and hopefully someday I will get one of yours. But I know how artwork is so precious. So going back, I'm picking up my paintings that have been in our my mom's guest room for a while. And I'm like, going back and I'm like, I'm gonna have to get a hotel on the way back because I have to just bring them inside, right? To just I'll have to send you some pictures of the ones that I have. They were just ones I did in high school, but I mean it's really like all that I have from like my growing my younger years of anything that really brings good memories. And so I'm like, this is a really crappy time of year to deal with that. So so traveling, I really try to avoid the hotel rates, but when it comes to, of course, like other people, food, perishable stuff that really is, needs to be like temperate. That's when it starts to kind of become a concern for me. But, most of the time I did stuff like bare bones and I can make it work. It would definitely be more affordable or more comfortable if I did do one of those, like the add-ons, if I got a truck and did the fifth wheel life, or if I got like a teardrop that I could tow, it would definitely be more comfortable and open up more room for space. But for like gas economy and my finances right now, this is just kind of where I'm at. But it's something you can do, but like it's so funny when people look at you and they think that you're like privileged.
Yeah.
When you're like, no, I don't think you understand. Like
frugal, there's a difference.
Yeah. I'm thrifty, frugal, and cheap. So
no, but that reminded me though, like I don't hike much, but like I really love to fucking drive. Like that's my fucking thing. Like at least once a month, me and the wife will just go drive for a couple hours just to do whatever. But I remember this one time I was PCSing from Pendleton in California to Quantico, Virginia, and I stopped to see my dad. He was outside of Quantico. And this was between Christmas and New Year's, and I was driving a 94 Wrangler, and I didn't have a top for it. I just had the bikini top thing, and I'm freezing my ass off, right? It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like 2 hours away, and I'm too stubborn to get a fucking hotel. So I pull up into a fucking McDonald's, which is closed, because I figured they'd be open, because, why the fuck would a McDonald's be fucking?
Who doesn't? What McDonald's doesn't do 24 hours? What is this?
Anyway, fucking they're closed, so I can't go in the lobby to warm up. So I order $100 worth of cheeseburgers and just start shoving them in my clothes because like they're warm and it's gonna warm me up. Didn't fucking work at all. Like when I got to my dad's house later, like it took me like 2 hours to start producing body heat again. But I didn't get the hotel, and I had a lot of fucking cheeseburgers the next day. So, like,
yeah, you were like, I'm not warm, but I sure am full. That's pretty good. I mean, it was smart. It's acting in.
That wasn't smart. It didn't work. I almost died. It was terrible.
I mean, you had food though. Was okay. So smart might not good idea or good. A for effort. A for effort? I don't know. You did your best, but also some places hotels are only like $60, $70 a night. So
yeah, but like,
but if you have your open, you have to like safeguard your shit. Like that's the thing we do, right? We gotta. Yeah. So I kind of get where you're going there. I honestly like, I would probably have done the same. Well, I don't know if I would have shoved hamburgers like that.
I figured it'll help me, like, like make body heat again. It'll insulate me, maybe like cheeseburgers.
Hamburgers.
Like,
so is this a new thing we're going with? Hamburgers are just chewy hand warmers. Is that?
Yes. Yes.
Should that be the title? That could be the title of this. Some people would be like, I'm not sure what that means, but I'm interested.
Dear Trip, I saw your podcast the other day. You're a fucking idiot. I'm glad you're not dead.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Don't forget that. I love that we've normalized you're welcome for my service, at least with all this stuff going on.
Yeah, thanks.
So we can just throw that out there now. So people who have forgotten us because of everything else that makes more money, we can say, "Oh, you're welcome for your service."
Yeah. Well, I mean, the war's over, so like we don't matter anymore.
Yeah. No, it's fine. And we're about to just pull out of Iraq when what can we just? So what happened there, right? So that's weird.
Yeah.
Or-
I thought Iraq was the thing that's like in the driveway. There's like a bunch of them, like gravel. Some people call them that. Speaking of that, I got a joke for you. Why are Saudis so dumb? Because they live under a rock.
Oh, yeah, I like that one. That's good. Oh, we're Saudis. They just can't help it. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how all this unfolds, right? With all this shit with Iran being able to supposedly be able to make nukes by the end of this month, and
Thanks, Obama.
with that,
Thanks, Obama.
yeah, right, yeah. So that's fine, and then also with Iraq, like the airstrikes that have been happening there, right? So and then there's a whole conflict with Russia and
Oh, see, the thing with Russia and Ukraine, though, is that's been going on since 2013, and by every metric, it's been a major war. Like, I think the thing for the UN to consider it a major war is like 1,000 people have to die a year, and there's been like at least 10,000 people dying every year since 2013 there, but like no one's been fucking talking about it for some fucking
until now, right? And so now all of a sudden we pulled ourselves out of Afghanistan. Why? Oh, because we don't want to be involved anymore. But then all of a sudden now this shit's going on and they're launching more attacks. I guess apparently more than what's traditionally that 1,000 or more, right? Yeah. And we're like, oh, well, if Ukraine, so from my understanding, Russia doesn't want Ukraine to enter the UN, and if it does, because a lot of us want to back him, us being the countries, not us being you and me as people. Yeah. But if the Europe, was it the United Nations or European Union?
European Union, just
European. Europe. Okay. Yeah. So all of a sudden it's going to be a problem now, and we might get involved. And I'm like, oh, that's weird because I thought we didn't. So
that's also what Syria was about. Because most of the natural gas that goes into Europe comes out of Russia, and then they found a big natural gas deposit in, I think, Qatar, and they're like, all right, so we can sell all this natural gas from Qatar to Europe and like tank Russia's economy. And Syria just happened to be the only place they could build a pipeline, and then Syria also happened to be like one of Russia's friends, so they're like, well, let's just fucking destroy Syria because fuck Russia. That's where that whole thing, if you remember when they found weapons of mass destruction or chemical weapons in Syria. And like, these totally aren't Saddam Hussein's that just got hit here. They're not at all. So, and Obama was like, so we have to go into Syria to get rid of weapons of mass destruction. And then I think Russia was like, no, we'll take them off your hands. So they'll be in Russia now instead of Syria.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like one of those things where it's like, it's really frustrating because like you're about my fucking age. Like you remember when Russia was the bad guys before Russia was just like nothing before they became the bad guys again. And it's like, why are they playing better chess than us?
Yeah, because they obviously have chess tournaments every Tuesday and we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're
so it's interesting.
Crush or Angry Birds instead of fucking.
Yeah. Fuck us in our fucking Angry Birds. I'm interested to just, at this point, I'm just bringing the popcorn, because now we're sending more. So remember that whole time that we were training the Afghan military and trying to give them money to pay for their military through the government, who is now run by like, I don't know, the Taliban now. And we just sent a bunch of humanitarian aid to them again to help their people. Like, we didn't look back at the records and see that the money, so like we kind of forgot that the reason that Afghanistan collapsed when we pulled out was because the military didn't get the money we sent them. Am I doing this right? Like, I just
only half, because the other part of that is like Afghanistan's not really a country as much as it's a plot of land that Iran, China, and Pakistan don't want. And
just want to control. They don't want to pay taxes on it, right?
Well, like, I mean, no, like people that consider Afghanistan or people in Kabul. Like, yeah, I spent a good amount of time over there, and there was a lot of villages where we're like, hey, we're here to help the Afghans. And like, who the fuck are Afghans? I'm from fucking like Nalzad, and it's like, you're an Afghan.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I guess it's a fair point. That is a fair point, but it is interesting watching because like didn't so China started having increased investment in them once we pulled out, and
yeah, because China is also playing chess while we're playing fucking
Angry Birds,
McDonald's Monopoly, fucking pull off.
Yeah, so I think that's really interesting that we were pissed that their army couldn't stand up for themselves because they weren't getting the money we sent them. So what we thought would be a really good idea was to send them money for humanitarian aid, thinking that they, now who's in control, wouldn't use that money to not fund humanitarian aid, because it'll be different now, right? Because we're dealing with...
Well, the other problem with that is all the Afghans that give a shit about Afghanistan join the Taliban because their whole mentality doesn't align with fucking Western values. Like, what's honorable to them is kicking out the foreigners.
Like, so, they just want their spot back, right? Like, they just want their field.
That's shitty for us, but it's like, no, I totally understand that, because if like Russia or China was occupying us, as soon as they fucking left, I'd be like, all right, well, assholes that the fucking Chinese put up, yeah, you're out now, you know?
Yeah. So. It's just like it's really more the fucked up part is like the more lower level civilians, right? The women, the children, all that. Like the people coming in, they're like, oh, we want our shit back. But then they have their old their ideologies, right? Where like the stuff that we went in there to protect, to allow women to go to school and for kids to not be used as like fucking goat bait or whatever they were doing out there, like fucking weird shit.
You can't actually say what's going on, because if you do, you get canceled for talking bad about Islam.
Right. Yeah. So like this stuff that we were out there to protect, we lost that, you know, being that halo, so to speak. And then like now they're coming back in and they're taking away, you know, what we wanted in our own country. And then we want to sit here and say that those practices aren't right in our country, but fuck them, right? Because we got our troops out, we don't care anymore. But if that was happening on our turf, that'd be a problem. And so that's weird.
Well, I mean, would it be a problem though? Like, have you not been paying attention to what's been going on with like America? Fucking like, we don't care about our own fucking people. Come on.
I mean, for the most part, but I am allowed to go to school, and young kids aren't being used as sex toys. Well, I mean, I guess depending on who you are.
Well, no. Jeffrey Epstein was
that whole thing going on, right? Of the whole thing with the fucking trials with the sex abuse, but
yeah, he didn't know Bill. Jeffrey Epstein.
But you can't talk about that. You can't talk about that online.
Yeah, they were just on the same plane together. That's
all
that was.
Yeah, they were just playing Monopoly on that little island there. No kids were getting abused there. They weren't selling any children off or whatever. But yeah, you're right. That stuff doesn't happen here. It's a magical world where women are allowed to do whatever they want, and kids are not getting raped or, you know, abused or anything. So that's weird. But it's so wild that we have so many platforms for women's rights, but then we just literally just
shit right back on them.
Just turn around and walk down a lot of women who were about to get engineering degrees in the Middle East, and they are not doing that in Afghanistan anymore. So that's,
I mean, you know, to be fair, they might have a little bit of an advantage with that, because if they're getting an engineer degree, they would probably know something about chemistry, and it isn't brought up a lot, but there is a significant overlap between chemistry and baking. So they're just gonna, instead of like building rockets, they're just gonna be making naan bread and, you know, fucking mutton. So I mean, they're still using that information. They're just gonna get their fucking nose cut off.
They'll have really good breakfast.
Yeah. Out of the lab, back to the kitchen. Ah!
It's like we shouldn't be laughing at it, but it's dark humor, and that's why we love it. So dude, it's good.
You want to speak dark humor shit? Fucking there was this chick I was dating. This is years and years and years ago. And I almost punched her in the face one time. Like out of instinct, not like bitch, I'm gonna hurt you, but like So she was.
It was out of love. That's what the Afghanis say too.
No.
That's what they
she was
say.
Arabic and could like nail the thing. And she did it one time, and then like I had to like my fist went like straight up, and I was like I had to use the other hand to like put it down.
You had to stop.
Yeah, it was an instinct thing. It wasn't like I'm gonna hit you. It was like my brain was just like, I don't like people that can do that. No, put the hand down. Put the hand down. Don't.
You did it. It was like an Afghani man in heat kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Oh no.
But no, like she could also pronounce all the like Akbar fucking shit, right? And it was like, and she would do it to fuck with me. Which on one hand, I appreciate that, but on the other hand, it's like, fuck with me on something else. Not
yeah, you're like, talk dirty to me, but not like that.
Yeah.
So
hey,
good.
baby, talk dirty to me. Oh, Akbar. Not like that.
No. Oh no. That's don't pull the pin. Oh my. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Ooh. That one got she got me too. So if you have her number, no, I'm just kidding. Like she was wild.
Right, she was also half Italian, so like the fuse was about that long. So you know.
Yeah.
I didn't walk on eggshells. I walked on IEDs and just hoped I kept my legs afterwards.
Yeah. Those spicy girls, they're good. Yeah, don't piss off don't piss off an Italian woman, I swear.
Yeah. Also, I don't understand why Italian women don't appreciate the lasagna jokes, but
it's just we love it so much. I just don't know. It's like, can we do the you're like, no, not into lasagna. So what about the spaghetti lady and the tramp thing? We could try that. So no.
Yeah, no.
That's
but like when we say, hey, we're gonna do Lady and the Tramp, except for we're gonna do guy who's not Italian and the tramp who's making the. I wasn't calling you a tramp for giving me spaghetti.
But like, I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Well, if you have to say I'm just saying, maybe don't say it.
Oh, that's one of my favorites to start with. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Oh, or not to be an asshole, but I'm not trying to be a smartass. But
I just, if you're gonna start with no offense, but it just means it's so no offense, but is the very respectfully at the end of a military email.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Also, like, I can only imagine what they're going through with fucking COVID right now, or maybe not right now, but the last couple of years, where it's like, you know how like you always want to say this could have been an email, and then it gets to the point with COVID because of social distancing where that meeting did become an email, and then it's like, oh, this didn't even need to be an email. You could have just not said this, and we'd have been fine. We'd have been fine.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So since COVID, like I've text messages, emails. I'm like, why is this conversation? Why are we even? It reminds me of, so it's something I try. Like I laugh in my head every time I see some of the dumb shit that we see in like threads and stuff when we go virtual or whatever. I remember this time my sister messaged me and she asked me something stupid about the time I had been to Ireland. And this, you know, I went to Ireland like fucking 15 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever. And I think she just wanted us to know she was going to travel to Europe, which she's never been. And
you can just say, hey guys, I'm going to fucking insert country here.
Yeah. And so she was like talking about her plans to travel the country. And this is like right before COVID. And she was saying something, and I was like, no, that's not what I did. And my sister and I were just doing the typical sibling fight. And my mom just responded back, and she was like, get me out of this stupid conversation. And I was like, this is good. And so now every time I see when we're doing like, it's worse when we're in Zoom, because then I'm on, or like WebEx, whatever we're on. It's worse than when we're on camera. But when we're in these email threads and they're just talk about shit, I'm like, that's all I want to say is just like, get me out of this stupid conversation. Because that's all it's been is like you said, like, did this need to happen? No, it really didn't. We probably you could have just done it and not told us you were doing it. And that would just be a matter of fact at the end of it. Or like, I don't know what else you would do. I guess that would just be it. Just fucking do it and then say, hey, this is what we're doing now. It's the military. So just be like, roger that, right? Like weird. But now there's all these like
I think that like 90% of that shit, like if someone you know is going somewhere, like it doesn't have to be, hey, I'm going here, I'm cool, check this out. All it needs to be is like, hey, I'm going to Ireland. Do you guys want me to get you like a postcard or a trinket or something? You know?
And
like,
then I could have said,
pick me up a fucking cuckoo clock. Fuck it, you know?
Right. And then I could have said, no, thanks. I've been everywhere in Ireland because I'm better than you. Okay, bye. No. But no, like I think she just wanted to be heard, and that's a thing our society wants,
and
right?
So
I think she just wanted to let everyone know that her trip was going to be better than mine, and that's fine because it probably would have been because I was a fucking junior in high school and I had to sink my drinks because I wasn't allowed to drink in the States. So technically, so that's a weird thing. Back then, in like at least like Scotland, Ireland, Wales, all that, you had to be 18 to drink.
Yeah.
In their country as an American citizen. And I had just turned 17. So some places I got to drink because they didn't card me, but then some of my friends tried going to like a Hard Rock Cafe and they got ID'd and they got denied because they weren't old enough, because you have to be 18 to be able to drink there if they know you're American and they pick us out like we stick out like sore thumb. So, you know, for the locals, for the you know, you can see over the bar, you can basically get a beer, but that's part of their culture. They know Americans are belligerent and we're fucking crazy. So you have to be 18 or up to drink in Europe. So I wasn't, and so that was really it. So my trip wasn't as cool because I got away with it when I could. Had a beer here or there. But
wait, so no, that actually makes you cooler because you had to do it on the black market.
Yeah, like I had to just roll in and I was like,
oi, hello, fucking Lucky Charms, leprechauns. Can I get a rainbow full of pints, please?
Yeah. I'm gonna get a pint of Smidex.
Dude, I fucking love Smidex. They don't sell it around here. I miss that shit.
Really? So over there they had Bulmers, which was their hard cider, which was the OG, like before cider was really like a thing. And so that was something I really got into because I wasn't a drinker back then, honestly. But I did really like that because I like apple cider. And so that was pretty good. But I did have
not a drinker either. I just really like beer.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I only had 2 while I was sitting here, so yeah. It's this one says Wicked. It's got a guy with goggles on it. He's
Is that Bigfoot?
Cool. What's that?
I was asking.
I wish I did get a Bigfoot lighter that has a Bigfoot snowshoeing.
Okay, wait. Actually, now that we're here, let's do this. Fucking thoughts on Bigfoot?
Probably a thing.
Probably a thing.
I think so.
You've done a lot of time in the woods. Like, have you ever ran across any Bigfoot evidence?
I've seen some really big footprints, like animal prints, like big bears, big cats, possibly. I've never seen any big cats myself. I've only seen, black bears, lynx, deer, like mule deer, all the different types, elk. I saw a baby moose when I was in Wyoming. I'm hoping while I'm up here in New Hampshire to see a big guy. That'd be super exciting. But I've never seen like any like prints, like a big footprint like a Bigfoot. So have you heard of in West Virginia, the cryptids? The cryptids are a cool thing. So Bigfoot, Sasquatch, he is a cryptid of sorts.
Well, no, I want to say it was 2 years ago. Me and the wife went to Point Pleasant to go to the Mothman shits.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And then we went to the Flatwoods Monster Museum, which is really cool for like a loser's basement. Like, don't go out of your way to go there, but like if you happen to be on that road, like stop. But like,
and is this in West Virginia?
Yeah, but like,
okay, yeah, hit me with that link because I think I'm gonna go hit the Dolly Sods. There was a trail I wanted to go hit, where there's supposed to be cryptids and whatever, and so I was really interested in that. So hit me with that because if it's on the way. So there's a brewery up there that there's an artist that did some like what she perceives the cryptids to look like with like Bat Boy, Mothman, all that. But yeah, so I did see a blue. It was weird because it was like a blue scorpion crawfish thing, but it wasn't anywhere near water. It was like at the top of this mountain. And I saw that in West Virginia, and I thought that was really interesting. It's like an albino, so it is something that is recorded as an animal, but I thought it was really weird that it was where it was. So I kind of want, like, I'm interested in what's going on out there. I feel like I heard some weird shit, like kind of some.
Well, I've seen like blue lobsters, so like it would make sense there'd be like blue crayfish or crawdads or wherever you're from.
Wait, sorry, say that again.
I've seen like bright blue lobsters, so it would make sense that there would be blue.
Okay, yeah,
crawdaddies or whatever you call them from wherever you're from.
Yeah, this thing he was like a little guy. So I'll send you the picture of him. But yeah, so I want to go back out there and go do some hiking because there's some trails that I didn't get to hit because I was actually that day I went up to like Raven Ridge, if you're familiar with Dolly Sods at all. I was trying to go to like Beaver Creek or Beaver, the trail had Beaver in the name of it. And I was like knee deep in this water and I had to keep going and it just felt like it was getting deeper and I didn't have like waders on or anything like that. I had a pack, my camera, all that stuff in it. And I was like, yeah, I don't really know. Like we'd just gotten some rain up there. And so I was like looking at the terrain map and I was like, this probably only gets worse. So I ended up turning around. And then I talked to some people and they were like, yeah, it's, a lot of those names are reflective of their thing there. So that beaver one, like there's an area where you go through like a beaver dam. And I was like, all right, cool. I probably did the right thing, not tromping on those grounds when beavers could just be going through there. I know they get really pissy really fast.
And they're actually zombieverse.
That movie, I just mentioned to someone about that movie the other night too, because that was great. The other one was like, hey, college kids. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't go over there. And so I'm going to try to, it's been freezing temperatures, they're about to get snow. So I'm like, all right, cool. I might go through there and head back over there and kind of see. But yeah, so like, I'm definitely, not like against it, not denying the whole cryptid Sasquatch thing. I think the people who have claimed to see it, some of them I think are just the typical like Blair Witch Project bullshit where they're like, oh yeah, I saw it. And you're like, I'm not really sure about that. But I do think like there's some areas like the misnomers of like, rumors of people disappearing and like weird shit happening, like that there's definitely like probably something out there. But I think that if there is, then it's managed to survive for this long. It's not a typical American, so it's not going to do dumb shit to get caught. So
yeah. One of the things I think is fucking interesting about that though is like if and I don't know if this is correlation or causation, but if you take a map of the United States and there's like a dot on it for like every person who's mysteriously just like vanished,
mm-hmm.
and you take a map of the US like or like the cave system in North America and overlap them, it's like the same fucking like high spots. So it's like, are these people getting abducted by aliens? Are they getting fucking kidnapped, put in the human trafficking? Are they getting lost in a cave? because if you look at the shit, it looks like they're just getting lost in a cave, and people don't look in fucking caves for missing people, especially if there's like big pitfalls and shit.
Well, yeah, because there's like Mammoth Cave. It's like a 400-mile, or I think it's like a 400-mile system or something like that. So,
and there's a lot of people that disappear around there, and they think it's like Bigfoot, aliens, or gremlins or goblins, and it's like maybe they just wandered into a cave, slipped, hit their head, and fell down a fucking shaft. Like,
right? Yeah, it's not about feeding the gremlins after midnight. Maybe people are just fucking stupid.
Yeah, see, that's a catch-22 though, because like if you look at a clock, unless it's exactly midnight, it's always after midnight. So if you feed a gremlin at fucking, or a yalgoi or whatever the fuck they're called, you know, at breakfast time, that's technically after midnight. So you're doing it yourself. This is user error.
You're not wrong. Man, I didn't know if I saw the time ticking down to 2 hours, and I was like, are we gonna shut off?
I mean, if you want to keep going, we can keep going.
I do have to pee.
I do too. So let's take a minute off.
That, or we could, I feel like this might be a lot for some people. We could definitely, I am going to hike tomorrow, so we could probably reconvene and talk about some other dumb shit in the future.
Oh yeah, no, we could definitely fucking do this again at some point. Like
we could do this again. That way I can pee, and then I gotta put my nerdy retainers in because I gotta wear them for 8 hours a night.
And like get some, you know, rest before the journey.
Right. Well, oh yeah, like I guess there is a hike tomorrow, so
yeah. Well, I don't want you to be the hungover person. Be like, I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up because I stayed up too late drinking.
Right. Yep, I feel that. Yeah, so I should probably drink some water, put my retainers in, and be a good girl. But we could definitely talk more chum shit, drink beer, do some cool shit. This was fun. Definitely would be happy to join again if your followers are like, yeah, she doesn't suck, so we could have her back.
Oh no, see, like if it wasn't evident off of what I was doing on Instagram today, I don't give a shit about my followers. I'm here for me. So yeah. I had a good time, and that's what matters.
Yes. No, it was great. It was good to talk about some real shit and not have to deal with all the, you know, the.
I mean, how dare you, you un-PC bastard? You're what's wrong with America. No.
I know. Oh. Yeah. You can't have an opinion unless it's an opinion others agree with all the time, 100%. Otherwise, you shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a weird thing. I feel like this is like a, I don't know. Oh yeah. Like communism.
I was going to say reverse Twilight Zone. Careful.
It's fine. I just finished it, so we're good. No beer was spilled on this journey.
No party foul.
No, I didn't have to. I'm not going to have to lick any off the table.
All right. Well, before we get going, can you tell the people where they can find you if they want to follow your journey?
Yeah. I'm, of course, I'm a follower of yours on Instagram. It's legendary_Lindsay. So it's just as you see it in the title for, it says the legendary Lindsay. It's just without the and an underscore between legendary Lindsay. So definitely hit me a follow on there. Send me a message. If you want to do any collaborations or just have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to tell me I suck, that's fine.
Dear Lindsay. I hate your freaking guts. You make me vomit. You're the scum between my toes.
Yeah, those messages usually go to the hidden, because Instagram doesn't like that kind of talk. But if you want to tell me how cool I am, or you want to give me some free shit, or just
or if you want to hit on you in the comments.
Yeah, or if you want to just be weird and tell me I'm pretty on a picture, it's fine. You could do that too. I'll appreciate that.
Well, also, now that you said that, my buddy Evan is probably going to do that just because he's like that.
I'm in. I like it. That's the spirit. I'm for it.
He doesn't mean it, but he's one of those people who's like, I have an opportunity to be a creep. I'm gonna go be a creep.
He'll be all right in my book. But yeah, so we'll do this again sometime in the future. This was good. It was a good warm up for some things I'm planning to hopefully do in the future, and it felt pretty easy. I think that's probably you make it flow pretty easy. So
Social
this was
lubricant. Oh, excuse me.
Oh,
All right. Well,
just one more.
Thank you again for fucking being here. We'll catch
Yeah,
you.
of course. Thanks for having me. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.
Yep. Everybody go follow the legendary Lindsay. All right. Adios.